Happy Thursday, Kipsters. I'm so proud of all of the work you've put in all week. First grade has been absolutely crushing it with hitting our goals this week. Our 20 minutes of Lexia, 20 minutes of ST Math, 2 books read on Raz Kids every single day. If you're not quite up to those goals yet, tomorrow's going to be a catch-up day, so you can spend the day getting up to those 100 minutes a week, those 10 books a week. So proud of all of the effort and hard work you're putting in to get second grade ready. Okay, for today, guys, we are going to talk about a bunch of the books that we've read already. We have read so many stories about the wind. Today, we're going to have a discussion about how the wind acts in all 4 of our stories. I'm really looking for your participation today because it's kind of hard to have a discussion through the computer. So I really need your help participating and chiming in with your answers. Okay, so we're going to take a look at Owl at Home, at Brave Irene, at Gilberto and the Wind, and at The Wizard of Oz. I'm just going to read little pieces out of each one that talk about how the wind acts. And you're listening for some similarities, any differences, and you're thinking back to the books also, because I'm not going to reread all of it, so you still have to use your memory to remember what happened. All right, let's start with Owl at Home. This is maybe my favorite book of the 4. The first one we started with, let's reread about how the wind acted. Alrighty. Winter came into the house. It came in very fast. A cold wind pushed Owl against the wall. Winter ran around the room. It blew out the fire in the fireplace. The snow whirled up the stairs and whooshed down the hallway. Winter, cried Owl, you are my guest. This is no way to behave. But Winter did not listen. It made the window shades flap and shiver. It turned the pea soup into hard green ice. Wow, so some really dramatic words there that the author used to describe the wind and winter, right? Whooshed and whirled and pushed Owl against the wall. All right, so that's book number 1. Let's take a look at The Wind and Brave Irene. This is another one that we keep coming back to because of how the wind acts. It's also very dramatic, right? All right, let's listen. Go home, the wind squalled. Irene, go home. I will do no such thing, she snapped. No such thing, you wicked wind. Go home, the wind yodeled. Go home, it shrieked, or else. For a short second, Irene wondered if she shouldn't heed the wind's warning. But no, the gown had to get to the Duchess. All right. So again, the wind is shrieking at her, it's yodeling at her, it's being very loud, all of those good sense words that's telling us how the wind is acting. I'm going to reread a page from Gilberto and the Wind. You won't be able to see it because it's on my screen, but just listen. Sometimes wind is so strong, he starts breaking the trees and knocking down fences. Then I'm afraid. I run in the house and lock the door. And when wind comes howling after me and tries to squeeze in through the hole, I tell him no. Wow. So again, we've got the wind howling. We've got it breaking down trees, snapping fences. All right, and then let's reread from maybe the most dramatic of all, The Wizard of Oz. I'm just going to reread a few different sentences from a couple pages that really describe the wind. From the far north, they heard a low wail on the wind, and Uncle Henry and Dorothy could see where the long grass bowed in waves before the coming storm. There now came a sharp whistling in the air from the south, and as they turned their eyes that way, they saw ripples in the grass coming from that direction also. When she was halfway across the room, there came a great shriek from the wind, and the house shook so hard that she lost her footing and sat down suddenly upon the floor. It was very dark, and the wind howled horribly around her. All right, so again, all of the dramatic verbs, right? We've got the wind shrieking, whistling, howling. Okay, Kipsters. So those were our 4 books that all talked about the wind. And now I want to have a discussion about the similarities and some of the differences. What words does each author use to describe the wind? What were some of those dramatic words that we were just talking about? Call one or two of them out. Yeah, we've got the wind ripping and squalling and running, and it whooshed and it whirled and it howled and it shrieked. Some of those verbs, right, some of those words to describe the wind were in a couple different books. So in Brave Irene and in The Wizard of Oz, the wind shrieked. And in Gilberto and the Wind and in The Wizard of Oz, the wind howled. So some of those words to describe the wind were used in multiple of our books that we read. I find that very interesting that the authors had a similar idea for how the wind sounded. Nice job. Which character in our books feels happy because of the wind? Which character in our books feels happy because of the wind? Call it out. Yeah, Gilberto feels happy because of the wind. And how is that different from other characters' experience? How do the other characters in our books feel about the wind? Yeah, they feel scared. They feel angry sometimes. Owl's pretty angry and frustrated. Irene gets angry at the wind, and then she gets scared when she gets lost. Dorothy is scared when the wind lifts her house up with her in it. And Gilberto even gets scared at some points too, like when the wind is howling and breaking things outside. But sometimes the wind makes him happy, so that's different. So based on these 4 stories, Kipsters, can people control the weather? Do people have any say or any control over what the weather does? No, right? So the wind in these stories, the wind is a type of weather. The wind doesn't listen to any of the characters. The wind has different moods that Gilberto can't control. Dorothy can't control where it takes her house. Owl tells the wind to leave his home and it won't. Irene tells the wind to leave her alone and give her back her dress and it won't, right? The wind kind of has a mind of its own in all 4 of these stories, and none of the characters can control it. Last question, Kipsters. How does the wind affect people? How does it affect people? What does it make them do? So, right, to have an effect on somebody means that it causes them to do something or to feel a certain way. How does the wind affect people? Yeah, so I heard some really good ideas. It can change their mood. It can make them go from being really happy to really sad or really afraid and really angry and frustrated. It can make them scared. It could help them, like in Gilberto and the Wind. It could help him fly his kite or play with the soap bubbles. Or it could hurt them, like in Brave Irene when it knocked her over and made her twist her ankle. So the wind can affect people in a lot of different ways, as we learned from all of these stories. Okay, Kipsters, thank you so much for having this discussion with me today. Thank you so much for your participation. Now it's your turn. I want you to write a short story about the wind. A short story about the wind. Text that story to your teacher. I cannot wait to read it. Excellent, excellent work this week, Kipsters, and I will see you later. Bye.